May I have a motion for our financial services agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Filipczak, second by Mrs. Chu. Is there any discussion?
Just on G4,
Yes.
I see that that's the contracts. Is that very similar to the vendor list? And well, that's different because the vendor list would be the approved one, the ones that you can take, or these are the ones that were approved during the year?
No, these are all state contracts, and by law, this is simply a listing of who we have used in the past year. And it's more of an informational piece than anything else. We're not approving anything. This is simply a report of who we've used under state contract.
So this would probably be everybody on the vendor list that we have, because we have to have them on.
It's not everybody on the vendor list.
Okay.
This is state contract only. We have companies, vendors that we've used that are not state contract vendors. They may have received a purchase order because they were a low quote. It could be a company that was awarded a bid. So it could be a company that we were able to utilize because they were part of a cooperative purchasing agreement with other school districts. This is strictly state contracts.
Thank you.
And it's a compliance issue, so that's why it's on the agenda.
Anyone else?
I have a question regarding G7, and that is the reduction in the Italian teacher and the addition of ESL.
Yes.
So fully support the need, and very clearly reported that we need this position. And I also don't believe we should be budgeting by department, but since we're reducing a one world language teacher, I just wanted to ask about the status of being able to fund. We had discussed as a result of the survey
funding
Chinese for
Correct.
next year.
Correct.
Well, 17-18.
Right.
The following school year, and just seeing if we're in good shape. And
Mrs. Gulick, would you mind reporting on the world language staffing? So while Mrs. Gulick is coming up, as I sent each of you the rationale for this is targeting about 100 students, 100 ESL students, where we think we have a really severe need.
Yeah, and clearly beneficial. So
and we do want to analyze the impact of the position at the end of the year with real data on student performance. So we'll report back to the board, and Mrs. Gulick and I will do that at the conclusion of the school year if you approve the position.
So we have a commitment and a priority to expand the world language program. So as we move into the 16-17 school year, we've watched enrollments very, very carefully and tightened them up very, very carefully. So I expect no problem to offer the language, to offer Mandarin at both Churchill and the high school. I think we have room in the budget for 2 positions based on what we're doing in addition to this ESL position. I've been watching the numbers very closely.
Okay, and that would be for 17-18.
That would be for 17-18, but we have to include it now so that we can offer it.
Right. Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Juliana.
Yes, on G8, just to bring to your attention, the titles actually should be without the notation for position reduction, and the instructional assistant is a student assigned. I wanted to make sure that that was noted for the record.
Thank you.
One more question, please.
Mr. Filipczak.
On G5, I know there's a surplus of equipment for sale. Is there a possibility to get a list of what we sold? Does the online provider provide that? I'd just like to know how well we're doing.
We can compile a list for any of the items that we have sold through the online service. We seem to do best. I'll mention this. We seem to do best in selling buses online.
Well,
they honestly we end up having price wars
on buses.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, because I noticed that we always approve the sell of it, but we never see the revenue coming back in. I'm just curious.
No, it goes into the bank.
I know, but I'd like to know how much we get.
Yes, no problem. We can
Yeah,
make that.
that would be interesting. Okay. Anyone else? The secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mr. Filipczak?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
And Mr. Simmons?
Yes. Motion carries. We have an